On the day of a birthday celebration, Sarah Stevens and Jessica tricked me into drinking something drugged, then locked me in the basement and tortured me. It was also Alex Cooper, the man some actress never forgot, could return to the Stevens family and take my place. After I was tortured to death, my eyes refused to close. When I found myself back in my room, I realized I'd been reborn. On the very day Alex Cooper returned to be claimed by the family. It was time to make them understand. If I could bring the Stevens family back from the brink in just 3 years, my methods were far from ordinary. I had watched, eyes wide open, as my own sister, Sarah Stevens, sliced flesh from my chest, piece by piece. My tongue had been cut out, silencing my screams, and with my limbs gone, I was powerless to resist. I died in agony and hatred, utterly despairing, yet my eyes refused to shut. Finding myself back in my room again, I instinctively checked my limbs. They were whole. I had been reborn, sent back 1 year, to the day Alex Cooper first walked through our door. But the searing, bone-deep agony was impossible to forget. I clutched my head, trying desperately to banish the horrific memories. Someone pushed the door open. They rushed over, helping me sit up, and said gently, "Ethan, I told you not to drink so much last night. Your head must be pounding. Let me get you something for that hangover." Her voice, though laced with urgency and concern, sent an icy chill straight through me. Especially that familiar face. It made the hairs on my arms stand on end. Sarah Stevens, my own sister. We had clung to each other during the Stevens family's darkest days. And she was the one who had sliced my flesh away, piece by painful piece. She left for a moment and returned with a bowl of soup meant to cure a hangover. "Here, Ethan, let your big sister feed you." "That won't be necessary." I cut her off, waving away the bowl she offered, and called for the housekeeper. "Bring me some clothes." After changing into one of my usual bespoke suits, I looked up at my reflection in the full-length mirror, my eyes cold and devoid of emotion. Uncle William, the butler, approached. "Alex Cooper is here," he announced. Alex Cooper was the imposter, the one who took my place in the family after I disappeared as a child. As he got older, his lack of resemblance to our parents became undeniable, prompting them to spare no effort until they finally found me. Our parents had grown attached to Alex and couldn't bring themselves to send him away. But the moment Alex discovered his birth parents were wealthy, he abandoned us. Worse, he engineered the Stevens family's bankruptcy. The shock was too much for our parents. They both fell ill and died. I managed to rebuild everything from scratch, making the Summit Group even more successful than before. And now, he had the gall to show up again. Alex Cooper was sitting on the living room sofa. He scrambled to his feet the moment I walked in, his tall frame trembling uncontrollably, seemingly terrified of me. I sat down directly opposite him. In my peripheral vision, Sarah Stevens was watching Alex Cooper, her eyes a mixture of sympathy and undisguised joy. "Ethan," he began tentatively, "I've decided to come back. The Cooper family, they weren't good to me. I just want to be with sister again." He spoke, choosing his words carefully, projecting an image of meek obedience. The housekeeper nearby quickly chimed in. "Chairman, Alex grew up in this house, after all, and he was always the late chairman's favorite. Please let him stay. The chairman is wealthy enough to support 10 Alex Coopers, surely." "Chairman," the housekeeper pressed. "Alex seems so sincere. Please let him stay." Uncle William kept his eyes fixed on me, awaiting my decision. "Nice suit," I commented, looking Alex Cooper up and down. My voice was flat, betraying no emotion. Alex Cooper immediately dropped his gaze, starting to stammer. Uncle William narrowed his eyes, seemingly sensing something wasn't quite right. "These are from a huge international brand, something even our family rarely sees. In my past life, I didn't recognize it. I thought they were just ordinary clothes, completely fooled by his appearance." Uncle William said there was no need to take in an outsider, but Sarah Stevens insisted that looking after Alex Cooper was my parents' dying wish. Even Jessica Taylor, who rushed over when she heard, told me it was a great act of charity. I was put on such a pedestal that I couldn't tell right from wrong. And just like that, Alex Cooper moved back into the Stevens family home. Looking back now, I curse myself for being such an idiot. But now I've been reborn. Not only do I want to curse that ungrateful bastard Alex Cooper, I want to hit him. I stared at him coldly. "Those clothes you're wearing are from a luxury brand 100 times more expensive than Louis Vuitton. If I'm not mistaken, your outfit alone, from head to toe, cost no less than $1 million. I didn't realize the Cooper family was so generous, kicking you out, but still letting you wear such expensive clothes. They really must be loaded." A murmur went through the surrounding crowd. "What? Just the clothes cost over $1 million? They must be incredibly rich. A million? I wouldn't even dare dream of that much. Who gets kicked out of their house and is still allowed to wear clothes like that? Maybe they're fakes. I thought our chairman was rich, but does this mean the Cooper family has diamond-studded toilets or something? Alex Cooper looked at me guiltily. He had been looking down, but when he looked up again, his eyes were red. Ethan, what are you talking about? I don't understand. These are just ordinary clothes I bought at the mall. Couldn't be plainer. Maybe they just look like the real thing. I really had nowhere else to turn this time. Don't worry. I'm not here to fight you for Summit Group. I just need a place to stay, to be near Mom and Dad. I didn't want to hear it. I just turned my face away. Alex Cooper saw my disgust. His tall frame seemed to shrink as he lowered his head, looking incredibly wronged. Uncle William, did he come alone? Yes, I came alone. I walked the whole way. My feet are covered in blisters. Alex Cooper didn't wait for Uncle William to speak, jumping in immediately. The reason Uncle William hadn't answered quickly was because he was in an awkward position. Before now, out of guilt toward my parents, and because Sarah Stevens and Jessica Taylor were always telling me how much Mom and Dad had secretly cared for Alex Cooper, I'd kept in frequent contact with him for my parents' sake. Tell me, Uncle William, I just pulled the security footage from near the Hamptons estate going back 3 months. Every time Alex Cooper left the Hamptons estate, he got into a Rolls-Royce Dawn, or, at the very least, a Pagani Huayra Codalunga. In the places he went, luxury bars where the average tab is easily 6 figures. Just now, a limited edition Lamborghini Veneno dropped him off near the Hamptons estate. As for the footage from before today, it's all been overwritten. Because the chairman said Alex Cooper wouldn't lie, and you trusted him, I didn't think much of it. The murmuring from the crowd grew louder. They hadn't expected the Cooper family to be that rich, using limited edition supercars to chauffeur someone supposedly kicked out of the house. It was obvious Alex Cooper was lying through his teeth. I gave a wry smile, which Uncle William misinterpreted as indifference. He sighed, clearly disappointed. The next second I spoke. Uncle William, call a press conference. Accuse the Cooper family of kicking Alex Cooper out. Get justice for Alex Cooper. My tone was calm, but it hit them like a clap of thunder. Everyone there was stunned. Alex Cooper's mouth hung open. It was the first time I directly refused him. Uncle William also stared at me blankly. Then his eyes lit up as if he were looking at a rising star. As a proper butler, Uncle William was loyal only to my father. Whoever Dad told him to be loyal to, he obeyed. He only saw orders, not sentiment. Maybe I disappointed him so much before that his reaction seemed a little over the top. Recovering from his shock, Alex Cooper dropped to his knees with a thud and started begging. Brother Ethan, please let me stay. I really have nowhere else to go. You're such a good person, so rich. Why can't you just let me stay? I used to live in this house too. Brother Ethan, I'm begging you, just give me a few days. As soon as I find a place, I'll leave immediately. Brother? Who are you calling brother? My last name is Stevens. Yours is Cooper. How could I possibly be your brother? Watch what you say. Jack Johnson, get out of here now, before he causes trouble and the Cooper family comes blaming me. Summoned into the living room, the security guard, Jack Johnson, rushed forward with his men. More imposing than Alex Cooper, he grabbed him straight by the collar. The tall Alex Cooper looked helpless before him, allowing himself to be dragged out like a dead dog. Just as they were about to leave the living room, Sarah Stevens hurried forward and kicked Jack Johnson. She hugged Alex Cooper, tears of distress streaming down her face. Turning her face, she glared at me. Ethan, how could you act like this? What did Mom and Dad say before they passed? Didn't they ask you to take good care of Alex Cooper? You talk so much about being a devoted son, yet you defy Mom and Dad's last wishes like this? You're truly heartless. Hearing these accusations, I wasn't angry at all. I gave a humorless laugh and said to Sarah Stevens, listening to you, sister, one might think you and he were actual siblings. So what does that leave me? Since you two are so close, why don't you get out of the Stevens family along with him? Sarah Stevens looked shocked. She thought she must have misheard. How could I throw her out of the Stevens family? Ethan Stevens, what nonsense are you talking? How can you say such things to me? You have no respect for seniority. I said, get out of the Stevens family. Didn't you hear me clearly? Or do I need to call a special press conference just to tell everyone? Also, I am the chairman of Summit Group. Who exactly doesn't understand seniority here? Do you even have the right to call me by my name? Sarah Stevens stared at me incredulously. It took her a moment to realize I wasn't joking. Her confused eyes instantly turned sinister, filled with a hatred so intense she looked like she wanted to tear me apart. But I paid her no mind and looked towards Uncle William. There are some things I haven't mentioned out of respect for certain people. If you don't want to lose face completely, then get out quietly. Silence fell, broken only by the sound of Sarah Stevens grinding her teeth and Alex Cooper's mumbled pleas. The maids, who had been gossiping earlier, now kept their mouths shut tight, afraid even to breathe too loudly lest I throw them out of the Stevens family too. After all, in their eyes, I was a cold-blooded animal who wouldn't even spare his own sister. Uncle William, throw both Sarah Stevens and Alex Cooper out. Don't let them dirty the Stevens family's floors. Yes, sir. Uncle William acknowledged and raised his hand. Jack Johnson and his men stepped forward quickly. They tried to grab Alex Cooper, but the tall man hid behind the petite Sarah Stevens. Sarah Stevens spread her arms protectively in front of Alex Cooper, roaring at the guards. I'd like to see anyone dare touch Alex Cooper today, unless you don't want to work for the Stevens family anymore. The guards looked at each other, then finally turned to me. I sneered. He's just a bastard. Do you really think you're some grand lady of the Stevens family? Sarah Stevens exploded with anger. Ethan Stevens, what nonsense are you spouting? How dare you call me illegitimate? Even if I haven't contributed much to the Stevens family, I'm still Dad's daughter. Aren't you afraid Mom and Dad will turn in their graves hearing you say that? Her face flushed red, and her whole body trembled with rage. Seeing this, the onlookers exchanged uncertain glances. Isn't the chairman going a bit too far? Exactly. I've watched Miss Sarah grow up since she was little. If she were really illegitimate, would the old chairman and Mrs. Stevens have doted on her so much? How can a grown man talk like that? I'm really disappointed. Hearing their words, Sarah Stevens seemed emboldened. She gritted her teeth and pointed a finger at me. Ethan Stevens, don't think I don't know what you're up to. You're spreading these rumors just because you want the entire Stevens family inheritance for yourself. Do you think everyone here is blind? I found her words rather amusing. Aren't they blind? Claiming to have watched her grow up. Couldn't they even tell from her appearance? Thinking this, I couldn't help but look towards the nanny who claimed to have watched Sarah grow up. The nanny's eyes darted around nervously before she quickly lowered her head. I sneered at her. You say you watched Sarah grow up. Didn't you ever notice that she doesn't resemble my father or my mother? The nanny froze for a moment, then immediately looked at Sarah. She scrutinized Sarah from head to toe, then murmured involuntarily, Huh, how come I never noticed before? Miss Sarah really doesn't look much like the old chairman and Mrs. Stevens. As soon as she finished speaking, the other nannies chimed in. Yes, she really doesn't look like them. Her eyes seem narrower, and the bridge of her nose, it doesn't seem very high. The chairman and Mrs. Stevens both had high-nosed bridges. Her skin isn't as fair, and she's not that tall. She didn't inherit Mrs. Stevens' beauty or the chairman's height at all. They whispered amongst themselves, pointing at Sarah as if observing a monkey at the zoo. Sarah Stevens immediately flushed crimson. She pointed at me furiously. Ethan Stevens, what are you implying? If you're saying I'm not Mom and Dad child, you'd better have proof. Don't think you can just use your position to intimidate a few nannies and force me out of the Stevens family. I nodded, smiling slightly. You're right. I'm not the kind of lowlife who slanders others without reason. The paternity tests for Mom, Dad, and myself are all here. You're welcome to take them and compare them with your DNA. Sarah Stevens was defiant. Fine, let's do it. Who's afraid? That won't be necessary. Just as she finished speaking, Uncle William, who had been silent until now, spoke up. He looked at Sarah Stevens, his face cold. Let's not go through all that trouble. I'll just tell everyone the truth. Sarah Stevens is indeed not the child of the chairman and Mrs. Stevens. She was born to a former nanny in this household. The crowd gasped in surprise. Wow, the old chairman certainly got around. Seeing their reaction, Uncle William immediately became stern. It's not what you're thinking. Let me finish. He cleared his throat and continued. That nanny was always ambitious and tried to make her move, while Mrs. Stevens was visiting her family. But as luck would have it, one of the chairman's old army buddies was visiting that day. The nanny went into the wrong room, and she didn't realize her mistake at the time. Later, when she was almost 8 months pregnant, she brought the matter up, nearly causing the chairman and Mrs. Stevens to divorce. It wasn't until after the baby was born and a paternity test was done that she understood her mistake. The nanny felt ashamed, so she abandoned the child and ran away secretly. The chairman's friend, who had his own family, didn't dare acknowledge the child. Therefore, the chairman and Mrs. Stevens raised Sarah as their own. Finished. Uncle William looked at the pale-faced Sarah Stevens. Do you understand now? Sarah Stevens swayed, then collapsed onto the ground. It took her a long moment to recover before she staggered away. Meanwhile, Alex Cooper was thrown out of the Stevens family yard by security. Watching their dejected figures retreat, A relieved smile finally spread across my face. Actually, I'd always known that Sarah Stevens wasn't my biological sister. Before my father died, he called me to his bedside, told me the truth, and asked me to treat her well. Mom and Dad had protected Sarah well, sheltering her from the truth, and Uncle William had always kept the secret. So, while we weren't blood siblings, we were closer than most. But I never imagined that Sarah Stevens, knowing full well I was her biological brother, could still try to kill me. After that, I figured I didn't need to show her any mercy. That afternoon, while I was enjoying the Kobe beef and 82 law fight Uncle William had prepared for me, Jessica Taylor arrived. As soon as she entered, I heard her haughty voice. "Ethan Stevens, what scene are you making now?" She swayed her shapely figure over to me, and even before she got close, the waft of her perfume overwhelmed the aroma of the food, making it seem instantly bland. I couldn't help but sneer. Asterisk, if she was really so concerned about her childhood sweetheart, she should have shown up sooner. Asterisk, seeing my silence, Jessica Taylor crossed her legs and sat down right beside me. She took the hot towel offered by the maid, wiped her hands, and motioned for someone to bring her an empty wine glass. Her long, slender, pale fingers were quite striking, especially with the sparkling diamonds embedded in her nails. I'd once been captivated by her. I used to think I was attracted to women like her. Only after my rebirth did I realize it was because I liked her that everything about her seemed so perfect. But now that I no longer liked her, everything about her disgusted me. From now on, I would no longer be her pathetic admirer. I had awakened. She picked up the decanter, poured herself a glass first, then moved to top up mine. With a cold expression, I moved my glass away, clearly rejecting her offer. Jessica Taylor froze, the decanter hovering in midair, stunned for a moment. "Still not happy? You're so hard to please. Are you here to plead Alex Cooper's case?" Jessica Taylor's red lips parted slightly as she took a sip of the red wine. Closing her eyes, she savored it dramatically. Such a smooth texture, a rich bouquet. The aroma fills the palate, permeates the mouth and nose. Her clumsy attempt at wine tasting jargon almost made me laugh out loud. Who would have guessed that Jessica Taylor, the famous film and television star, was really just a socialite? If I hadn't taken an interest in her, building her up from a minor internet personality to a major influencer, helping her find resources and sponsors, she never would have become the star she was today. "Alex Cooper basically grew up in the Stevens family," she began. "Even though he wasn't Mr. Stevens' biological son, he was raised here for years. He and I grew up together. His character is impeccable, you have to believe me. I even heard that Mr. Stevens wanted to see Alex Cooper one last time before he died. How could you be so heartless?" Listening to her ramble on, I sneered inwardly. If it weren't for everything I experienced in my past life, I never would have guessed that the woman in front of me had actually been in love with Alex Cooper all along. Too bad for her. Back then, Alex Cooper was still the heir to the Stevens family fortune, far out of her league. Only after he returned to the Cooper family did she settle for me. Now that Alex Cooper had been kicked out of the Cooper family, she was willing to do the most unconscionable things to me, all for the sake of that unattainable one that got away. Is that so? Then perhaps I should just hand over my position as chairman to him? Would that be generous enough for you? My expression remained pleasant, but my eyes were ice cold. But Jessica Taylor, completely oblivious to the change in me, still assumed I adored her just like before. And so, she became even more brazen. "Oh, no need for that," she said dismissively. "Just go to the hotel right now. Bring Alex Cooper home personally. Book the most luxurious restaurant to throw him a welcome back party, and then hold a press conference announcing that Alex Cooper will be the new general manager of Summit Group. I know you're just upset because Alex Cooper held your position for over 10 years. Vent your frustration, sure, but get over it. Why make things awkward for everyone?" I didn't say anything, just kept watching her with that same smile as she continued. "I know I've been too busy with my schedule lately to spend time with you, but don't be upset about it. That's just how it is for female celebrities. You have to accept that. You need to be understanding and stop sulking all the time. It's not attractive at all, and I really don't like it. Oh, and also, the media might push me to play up a couple angle with other male stars for publicity soon. Don't take it to heart. It's all just for show. Even though I haven't publicly announced I have a boyfriend, you know you're always the one I care about." The condescending way she looked at me made even Uncle William and Jack Johnson, standing nearby, frown, but they wouldn't say anything. In their eyes, I was so infatuated with Jessica Taylor that I just laughed off any humiliation she threw my way. But now, I couldn't help but snicker, laughing until my shoulders shook and my face began to ache. Jessica Taylor looked utterly bewildered. "Ethan, what are you laughing at?" What's so funny? I quickly waved my hand. No, it's just absolutely hilarious. Let me tell you, Jessica Taylor, are you out of your mind? Who gave you the right to stand here and lecture me? You eat my food, you drink my wine, every single thing you're wearing, right down to your underwear, was bought with my money. And you still have a nerve to point fingers at me. Hearing my harsh words, Jessica Taylor froze, speechless for a long moment. I stood up, grabbing Jessica Taylor's surgically enhanced chin. Since my money paid for you, that means I bought you. You're just an object, and you should know your place and obey me. Maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll buy you a few more pairs of underwear. But you actually dare to order me around? What I do is none of your damn business. Did you really start believing you're some big star? Use that brain of yours for a second and think about how you actually got that big star status. At my words, Jessica Taylor's face instantly turned deathly pale, her exquisitely perfect features twisting in panic. That's right, she had forgotten who had manufactured her image as a formally trained actress from a wealthy, understated background. Forgotten who had plastered press releases all over the internet, hyping her up as a powerhouse performer with explosive talent. Forgotten who, when the scandals kept piling up, had hired online trolls and deleted negative comments. And, somehow, she had managed to chalk all of that up to her own hard work. With that said, I turned to leave. Jessica Taylor scrambled forward to block my path. Ethan, I was wrong, okay? She was so accustomed to being put on a pedestal that she'd actually forgotten how to humble herself. Funny, she wasn't like this with those popular male stars. Slap. The sharp sound of a slap echoed, followed by Jessica Taylor's terrified scream. Teetering on her high heels, she lost her balance and fell flat on her back, completely devoid of the elegance and composure expected of a female star. Ethan, you hit me. She clutched her face, staring at me in disbelief. I looked down coldly at Jessica Taylor, crumpled at my feet. Get out of the Stevens family, I said icily. From now on, your affairs are no longer my concern. The moment the words left my mouth, Jessica Taylor scrambled up from the floor and grabbed my arm. Ethan, please don't be angry, okay? I was wrong. I shouldn't have spoken like that. It was my fault. Please forgive me, okay? I frowned, watching her diamond-studded nails dig into my flesh. Jack Johnson, Chairman, your orders? Jack Johnson hurried forward. Her nails are too long. Rip them out for her, so she doesn't scratch anyone else in the future, I stated flatly, my voice devoid of any emotion. Yes, sir. Jack Johnson nodded to the bodyguards behind him. They swarmed forward as Jessica Taylor shrieked wildly. Don't pull them. They're real nails, not fake ones. The security guards paid her no attention, carrying out my command precisely. Amidst harrowing screams, Jessica Taylor lay prone on the floor, her hands dripping with blood. Her face was chalk white, her eyes filled with a weak, desperate look. She looked utterly pathetic. The pain contorted Jessica Taylor's features. Sobbing, she cried out, Ethan, why are you doing this to me? What did I do wrong? I was just offering some advice. It was all for your own good. Tears streamed down that exquisite face, making her look incredibly pitiful. I walked forward and planted my foot squarely on her face. The thrill of revenge surged through me, intensely satisfying. But it wasn't nearly enough. Compared to the suffering I had endured, this was far, far from enough. Jessica Taylor. Oh, Jessica Taylor. No, perhaps I should call you by your real name, Jessica Taylor. Just moments ago, you were tossing around my full name, Ethan Stevens, so casually, and now you're suddenly pleading Ethan again? Your ability to change your tune is even worse than your acting on screen. I spent a fortune on you, and you're still buried under scandals that can never be fully washed away. All those male stars keep their distance. There isn't a single man in the entire entertainment industry who wants you. And since you're something nobody else wants, I don't want you either. Jessica Taylor stared at me blankly, completely shocked that I would say such a thing. Ethan, you must be joking, right? You said you loved me, that you'd love me forever. I sneered again. True, I used to like her, love her to the point of obsession, but what did it get me in the end? Leaving her alive was an act of great mercy on my part. Throw her out, take a few pictures, and send them to the paparazzi. Let them come up with their own headline. Yes, Uncle William agreed immediately, afraid I'd change my mind if he hesitated for even a moment. He watched my retreating back, a look of relief in his eyes. Only someone like this could take Summit Group further. Sarah Stevens hadn't come home all night. Only I knew where she'd gone, so the next morning, I showed up at that hotel. When the hotel manager saw me, his first reaction was disbelief. After all, the Stevens family is vast and influential. We wouldn't give his small hotel a second thought. Even the smallest property I'd entrusted Sarah Stevens to manage was 10 times the size of this place. Before father died, he hadn't left a thing to this so-called eldest daughter of the Stevens family. It was only out of consideration for our bond as siblings that I let her help manage things for me. I just never expected she would betray me for an outsider, forgetting the times we had relied solely on each other to get by. Once the manager processed who I was, he became incredibly flustered and flattered, quickly ordering his entire staff to attend to me. A dozen beautiful young women surrounded me, warmly calling me Mr. Stevens. Looking at all these youthful faces, I suddenly felt like an utter fool for how I'd lived before. For the sake of so-called love, I'd spent all my days orbiting Jessica Taylor. Yet she told the world she was single and not looking to date, cultivating an image as a tough, independent woman while chasing after male celebrities, completely forgetting that I was her biggest financial backer. Now, I had reclaimed the demeanor of the Stevens family's young master. I was done being someone's lapdog. "Where's Alex Cooper?" The manager frowned, looked down, and hesitated, unable to give a straight answer. He simply led me to a room. Through the closed door, I heard Sarah Stevens speaking. "I can't believe Ethan Stevens is so heartless, kicking me out of the Stevens family. I was so good to him, I gave so much to the family." "Don't worry, Alex Cooper. I have hard evidence that Ethan Stevens is mixed up with the underworld. Once this leaks, Summit Group is finished. If I can't have it, no one can." Alex Cooper tried to reason with her. "Sis, don't do this. I was the one who took his place as the Stevens family heir for years. Brother Ethan suffered so much out there. It's natural he resents me. Even if you're fighting with him, don't go this far. Just teach him a lesson." A cold smirk played on my lips. Beside me, Jack Johnson got the message instantly and kicked the door open. "So, who's really in the wrong here?" The occupants of the room scrambled apart in shock, but no matter how fast they moved, everyone present could see they were both naked. Wait, weren't they supposed to be brother and sister? How did they end up in bed together? Trying to destroy her own brother for an outsider? That woman's repulsive. Did you hear? That Alex Cooper is actually the Cooper family's illegitimate son. They disowned him ages ago after his string of failed businesses. When the Stevens family went bankrupt, he bolted without looking back. Now that the Coopers kicked him out, he's trying to worm his way back into the Stevens family? What an opportunist. Humph. The chairman of Summit Group must be really forgiving. If it were me, you weren't there for the fall, so who the hell are you showing up for the rise? Humiliated and enraged by the surrounding insults, Sarah Stevens glared at me. "Ethan Stevens, I never knew you were this kind of person. Alex Cooper was in the Stevens family longer than you. Mom and Dad liked him better. If it wasn't for blood, do you think you'd ever inherit the Stevens fortune?" "Blood?" I burst out laughing, then turned to the hotel manager beside me. "Would you leave your fortune to some beggar off the street?" The manager chuckled. "Of course not. I'm not an idiot." The crowd roared with laughter. Sarah Stevens and Alex Cooper flushed crimson, unable to even look up. Gazing at Sarah, clutching a towel around herself, I felt only a bleak sorrow. When I first came back, the Stevens family was bankrupt. To make money, I delivered food by day and sorted packages by night, often aching from exhaustion. But I never complained. I simply entrusted her with every penny I earned. She was once the person I trusted most in the world. Asterisk once. Asterisk. With that thought, I turned to Jack Johnson. "Leak their photos to the media. I want them on tomorrow's headlines. Also, make it public that Sarah Stevens was the result of a maid getting into the wrong bed. Don't let her stain the Stevens family name." As for the dirt Sarah threatened to reveal, I wasn't concerned. The Stevens family's current wealth could crush her easily. Any trouble she tried to stir up was insignificant. I turned to leave, the sound of camera shutters clicking furiously behind me, punctuated by Sarah Stevens' screams and Alex Cooper's desperate pleas of don't. After leaving the hotel and getting into the car, I pulled out my phone and saw a headline. "Famous actress dumped by backer. Entertainment world rejoices." Relying on my affection, Jessica Taylor had disdained everyone and viciously bullied actors she considered inferior. Abusing assistants, assaulting co-stars, isolating veterans, mocking directors, berating assistant directors. She'd committed nearly every outrageous act possible. Now that she'd fallen, the entertainment industry wouldn't spare her. Less than 2 weeks later, a severe infection developed from a nail injury, leading to the amputation of both of Jessica Taylor's hands. However, complications arose during surgery. She hemorrhaged and died on the operating table. I smiled when I heard the news. An amputation surgery? How could that be fatal? It was obvious. Jessica Taylor had made too many enemies with her reckless behavior. Someone had simply seized the chance to pay for her demise. Meanwhile, more good news arrived. Ever since the photo scandal broke, Sarah Stevens and Alex Cooper had been constantly trending online. Public speculation about their relationship ran wild. A top comment on one thread read, "Weren't Alex Cooper and Sarah Stevens siblings in the Stevens family? How could they have feelings like that? Maybe they were involved even back then. So gross. Sarah Stevens seems so pure. And Alex Cooper looks manly, but just wants to leech off women. Never judge a book by its cover." PSA. Sarah Stevens is the result of the Stevens family made climbing into the wrong bed. Whoa, that last comment is wild. So Sarah Stevens is just like her mom. An avalanche of posts followed. The Cooper family quickly released a statement denying any blood relation to Alex Cooper, calling him a fraud. As for Sarah Stevens, unable to withstand the scandal and the cyberbullying, she jumped from a building. Miraculously, she survived the fall. Tragically, she was left mentally disabled, constantly babbling that she was the eldest daughter of the Stevens family. One day, she slipped out of the care facility and was reportedly taken by a homeless man to be his wife. Alex Cooper vanished after Sarah disappeared. Years later, during a business meeting with a wealthy female executive, Ms. Taylor, I learned his fate. He'd apparently started selling his body and had been driven to death by the excessive demands of several rich women. They reportedly just laughed, paid a paltry 20,000 yuan in compensation, and considered the matter settled. Seeing the dismissive expression on Ms. Taylor's face, I couldn't help but smile as well. "Ms. Taylor, if you put it that way, we most certainly have a deal,"